Welcome to our online information session on how to complete an application to Peel Language Development School. My name is Tanya Rose and I am a member of the Speech Pathology team here at Peel Language Development School. We hope this presentation will provide you with useful information regarding the referral process and answer some common questions about our school and service. I would like to start with an acknowledgement of country. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, where Noongar people performed age-old ceremonies of storytelling, music, dance and celebration, and where they cared for the lands and waterways. We acknowledge and pay respect to the elders past and present, and acknowledge those of the future, for they hold the memories, traditions and hopes for all Aboriginal Australians. Always was, always will be. In this presentation, I will provide you with information about Peel Language Development School and talk about how we are different from a mainstream school setting. I will provide you with information on developmental language disorder, or DLD. I will discuss the referral process and the role of the school psychologist within this process, and I will provide you with information on how to access speech pathology services for your students. First, it would be great if you could please take the time to view our short 3-minute school video using the link provided on the screen or via our school website. Our school website is full of useful information about our school and the services that we provide. You can also find our referral forms under the Enrolment tab. I hope you enjoyed the video. Just to summarise, language development schools or centres are government-funded primary schools providing specialised programs for students with a diagnosed primary developmental language disorder, or DLD. Language development schools are located on a dual campus alongside a mainstream school. Each school has its own administration, including its own principal. There are 5 language development facilities in Western Australia. Each caters for a particular region. At Peel Language Development School, we cater for students in kindergarten through to Year 3, and we have classrooms located at Rockingham Lakes Primary School, Bungaree Primary School, Mandurah Primary School and Pinjarra Primary School. As the video touched on, a valuable part of our service to the education community is also our statewide speech and language service. Each of the 5 language development facilities across Western Australia have a speech and language service or outreach team attached to them. The Peel Language Development School team provide an outreach service to over 140 schools across the South Metro, South West and East Kimberley regions of Western Australia. The aim is to strengthen the language expertise available to students and provide greater support to schools and teachers through professional learning models and early intervention programs. So what is developmental language disorder, or DLD? DLD is a diagnosis given to a person who has significant difficulties in the acquisition and use of language. These difficulties create obstacles to communication at school, work and in everyday life. DLD emerges in early childhood and persists into adulthood. There is no known cause, although it may run in families. Developmental language disorder is a common neurodevelopmental condition affecting between 6 to 8% of children, which equates to roughly 1 in 14 children or 2 students in every mainstream classroom. DLD is more common than specific learning disorders or autism spectrum disorder. You may have also heard DLD referred to as specific language impairment, SLI, language learning impairment, LLI, or language delay, LD. Developmental language disorder, or DLD, is now the preferred term for language difficulties that are severe enough to interfere with daily life, have a poor prognosis, and are not associated with a clear biomedical etiology. That means that the difficulties with language exist without another biomedical condition being present, such as autism spectrum disorder, intellectual developmental disorder, or Down syndrome. So what is oral language? Language essentially involves 2 key components: receptive language, which is your understanding and receiving of information, and your expressive language, your ability to get your message across. This occurs in the oral, written and visual domains. Individuals with DLD can have difficulty with either their expressive language skills, their receptive language skills, but most commonly difficulties are seen in both. When we talk about oral language, we are looking at 6 different areas or skills that all come together to help us be competent oral language users. The 6 areas of oral language are comprehension, the understanding of language; semantics, words and their meanings; grammar, includes the word structure and the way we organise words into sentences; pragmatics, our social use of language; oral text or narrative, the telling and retelling of a series of events; and phonological awareness, our knowledge of the sound structure of language. Each student who attends Pure Language Development School has an individual language plan which outlines specific goals that they are working on within each of the 6 areas of oral language. Speech, on the other hand, is the way that we pronounce our sounds. You may have also heard it being referred to as articulation or phonology. If a child has difficulty with their speech or articulation, perhaps they say tat instead of cat, or maybe they have a stutter or have been diagnosed with childhood apraxia of speech, this means that they have difficulties with their articulation of speech sounds. This doesn't also mean that they won't have difficulty with their oral language skills. A number of our students at Pure Language Development School fit into the middle part of the diagram on your screen, where they experience difficulties with both speech and language skills. I would now like to ask you to take a short break from this presentation and head over and view a short video on DLD that has been put out by Raising Awareness of Developmental Language Disorder, RADLD. RADLD is a movement of passionate academics, researchers, health professionals, educators and families from around the world who are committed to raising awareness of developmental language disorder. This video gives you a personal look at DLD by interviewing children, adults and their families. I hope you enjoyed the video. As you will have just heard in the video, DLD is more common than you think, with an estimated 7% of the population having DLD, compared with 3.2% of the population having ADHD and 0.7% of the population having ASD. The next 2 slides are provided as a guide to show you what typical language development looks like. This handout that is currently on your screen can be downloaded from the Speech Pathology Australia website, along with individual checklists for children within this age range. It may provide a quick indication, along with your classroom data, about which students should be referred on for further services. In terms of development from 5 to 8 years of age, this period is defined by an expansion and refinement of language skills, approaching adult-like skills by 8 years of age. The development of literacy skills also typically coincides with this time. So by 8 years old, a typically developing child who has had adequate literacy instruction would be literate with adult-like speech and language. Development after this time is related to complexity. So how do you refer students to Pure Language Development School? Eligibility criteria is set by the Department of Education and is the same for all language development facilities. At Pure Language Development School, we accept applications for kindergarten, pre-primary and Year 1. The child must have a significant primary language disorder in one or more language areas as assessed by a speech pathologist. The child needs to demonstrate evidence of learning potential within the average or above average range. For pre-primary and Year 1 applications, an assessment by a psychologist is essential. For kindergarten applications, a paediatric assessment is highly recommended but not essential. The child also needs to demonstrate sound adaptive behaviour skills, as documented by observed descriptive evidence of the child's behaviour in his or her current educational placement or within his or her home. In order to attend a language development facility, a referral must be completed. As explained before, we are a government-funded primary school for students who have a primary language disorder. The referral process is a 3-part process. It includes a speech pathology assessment by either a community speech pathologist or a private speech pathologist that demonstrates receptive and/or expressive language difficulties, a cognitive assessment to ensure that there is no other impairment impacting on their language development for pre-primary and Year 1 referrals, and there is also a parent caregiver or teacher questionnaire that must be completed. Our school psychologist will now explain the role the psychologist plays in the referral process.
All school-age children also require a cognitive assessment as part of their referral to our service. Children with average or above average cognitive functioning, combined with a language difficulty, are eligible to apply. A non-verbally administered assessment is recommended as it measures the child's skills without as much impact from language as other types of cognitive assessments. Assessments are often completed at the child's school. Each school has a contact psychologist and a process to request support from them. It is important to note that this is subject to current workload or caseload and other demands that the school may have. Therefore, it's important to get this process started as soon as possible so that our families can explore other options for assessment if needed. The psychologist can only be involved with parent or caregiver informed consent. If your child attends a non-government school, those schools also have access to a psychologist, but they may not have one on site. So please discuss this with the teacher and they'll be able to advise you as to what the process is for that particular school.
This year's closing dates for applications are currently displayed on the screen. Speech pathology services can be accessed through the public or private sectors. Public services do have a wait list, and it is important to refer any students that you are concerned about sooner rather than later. Families may also wish to investigate private speech pathology services, either instead of waiting for child development services or while they are on the wait list for CDS. Private speech pathologists can be found by searching www.pspawa.com.au. Families should also be encouraged to speak with their GP about their child's eligibility for the Chronic Disease Management Scheme, formerly referred to as a GP care plan. If eligible, this will allow the child to access 5 allied health sessions, with the cost being subsidised by Medicare. In order to access a speech pathologist through the public system, a referral needs to be completed. The link is provided on your screen. You will also find a number of referrer checklists which will help you determine whether or not a referral to CDS is appropriate. I hope you have found this information video useful. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us, either using the phone number or the email displayed on the screen in front of you. Thank you.